Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of the Collector Car Stories podcast. Today we have a special car. You've met the owner already from a previous podcast. So we do retain all the Collector Car Stories podcasts on our website. You'll find a podcasts page on our website at collectorcarcanada.ca. There are also car reviews podcasts there. So we do a review of all of the cars we have available on the site. So to reintroduce them, here's our friend Andrew Sommers, who spoke to us from Pine Tree Ford a couple of weeks back. And today we're going to have a little tour of his 1968 Ford Thunderbird, which he talked about in that podcast. So we're going to get up close and personal with it. So maybe Andrew, we'll throw it to you. Say a quick hello, maybe start the car, and I'll meet you at the engine. We'll take a look there.
Well, hello again, everyone. I hope you guys are all doing great today. Cranked over 7 liters of passion. Big 429.
Started right up, Andrew. No trouble at all?
Heck no.
All right, maybe.
It was a warm start.
It was a warm start. We actually, on the cars we have available, I never label them cold start if it's a warm start because people want to hear a cold start. So I know we touched upon this a little bit when we spoke in the dealership. In the era, this is a 1968 car, the era late 60s Fords, there were 427s, 428s, 429s. Yeah. I know the 426 is a Chrysler Hemi. Why don't you speak first about the numbers? Because I see a label in there, 429 Thunderjet.
Sure. Well, I mean, this was the 429 Thunderjet. I don't remember the exact displacement of it, but
it's not 429, correct?
No, it's not.
But pretty close.
Could be a 430 actually.
Okay.
But I don't even believe it's that. Could be a 429.
429 is effectively a brand.
Everything in the 60s was about marketing. There was no truth in advertising in the 60s.
And I remember you telling us in the dealership about the Ford GT40, and I know the original GT40s were 40 inches high. I thought that was the only reason they dropped the 40. But as you said...
Well, basically, the branding was purchased by somebody else.
Someone has legal rights to GT40 other than Ford, right? Yeah. As an aside...
Thankfully, they're Ford people, but they're not Ford.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
Well, the cars are a little taller, so GT40 wouldn't fit for the exact same reason it did originally, because they're 44 and 43 inches high. Anyway, back to the 68 T-Bird, which you've owned about 20 years.
Yeah, 21 years.
21 years. Yeah.
And so back then, God help you if you had a car that was 426 cubic inches and you worked Chrysler.
Right, because that's a Hemi displacement.
Well, that's the thing, right? So you're going to get lost, right? So then, there were 426 cars that became 425 cars. Hello, Buick, right? There were, then 427s, 428s, 429s.
You said Buick. Was Buick running a 425 at that time?
425, the Wildcats.
I know the Sedan DeVille, the Cadillac Sedan DeVille, when it switched in 77, it was a 425 V8, but that's 10 years later. Keep going.
Yeah. Well, the Eldorado later, when it came out, it actually came out with a 429 3.2 before it went up to a bigger motor.
Bigger 500, yeah.
As did the Mark 3s.
Okay.
When we did Mark 3, they were first out with 429s until they went to the 460.
Okay, we're doing a great job of showing off our knowledge about other cars. We should stick to this beauty we have in front of us. So 429 Thunderjet, and then there's a 4V at the end of the label.
So that's 4-valve, 4 Venturi. There's not 4 valves per cylinder like it is today. It just means it's a 4-barrel car.
4-barrel, okay, yeah. Okay. So this has got some juice in. It's probably not a real screamer off the line, but a cruiser on the highway.
Yeah, so it was rated at 360 horsepower and 475 foot-pounds of torque. 475,
wow.
So the car for the day, it was Ford's personal luxury vehicle.
Right, this started off the segment I remember you telling us in the dealership.
Yeah, I mean, that's what gave us the Riv, the Monte Carlo, Cutlass, all that stuff.
All three of the ones you named are GM cars.
Yeah.
I guess maybe the later Mark, the Lincoln Marks, would be examples of personal luxury car.
Well, that's a luxury.
Yeah.
But those Mark IIIs were built on the four-door Thunderbird chassis.
Right. The Mark III, I guess that would have started around 70, so a couple years after this.
Yeah, a little 68, but that's okay. And then Yeah, actually, thankfully, a lot of those underneath parts are in this car as well.
So you're thinking about parts availability when you talk about that.
Yeah, these were technically just throwaway cars at the time.
Yeah.
And thankfully, because of the Lincolns, there are things that you can get, such as window switches, which are notoriously bad for these cars.
Right.
So if you've got like one and you've got a crank, lined up there, be thankful.
I think I've told you this, Andrew, but I think it was off camera how when I was born, my father owned a 1968 Thunderbird, and after I remember that we had that car. I've seen pictures of it. He probably got rid of it around 1972. Yeah. But I had to suffer for those window challenges of this car the rest of my father's life because he never bought another car with power windows.
Yeah, there you go.
So why don't we listen to this engine purr, and then maybe we'll go back and have a sound, listen at the exhaust.
Oh yeah. They have character in their sound.
I agree, and they sound different. They sound different.
Yeah, I mean,
so
there are people out there who try by putting add-ons and stuff like
sure,
that.
Sure. Let's go take a look at the pipes in the back.
Sound alone, you know that there's...
It really does sound powerful, even though it's just idling.
Oh yeah, it's not obnoxious.
No.
But you know that there's something there, and that's kind of nice to have.
And do you think that's how it would have sounded in 1968? Pretty close, eh? Pretty close. Okay, well, we're going to continue the tour, certainly with the exterior, but why don't we kill the engine? I don't think we need the engine anymore, unless there's anything else you want to show.
I'll show you one more thing before we do that, is that the Thunderbirds, I mean, a lot of people nowadays associate sequential taillights with the Mustangs.
Oh, yeah, show us that.
It was the Thunderbirds that first came out with them in 65, designed for 64, but not approved till 65.
Okay.
That initially brought them out.
Right,
so
right. Yeah, definitely worth seeing. So another fun fact about T-Bird.
Yeah, it's nice. It's a unique thing,
Would first year Cougar be 1967, Andrew?
67, yeah.
I think the first year Cougar would have this feature.
Yep, they got the sequential taillights, and of course I think that's what sort of led Carroll Shelby to go to the Ford parts bin and pick out an actual set of 65 Thunderbird taillights and put them in the Shelbys.
Okay,
so
all right.
When you see those are actually
in the 60s Shelbys, the first generation Shelbys. Yeah. All right. Okay, why don't we go back to the front of the car and work our way back? But yeah, you can kill that engine, I think. And what fuel does it run on, Andrew?
Premium.
Premium. 91.
Finest premium from Alberta.
91, yeah. So maybe it's best we turn off that engine. So it's funny. I think most people would say the tail end of this car is its real knock it out feature, but I really like that grille with those hideaway headlights and sort of an integrated chrome bumper with chrome up top.
Yeah, well, the nice thing is I mean, now they call it Frenching, but everything was tucked in back then.
Right.
And the grills for the 67, 68, 69, before they put the bunky beak on, all three of them were different years.
Right. I was going to say that we've got the T-Bird emblem on the headlight covers on this car.
Right.
But 67 and 69 is different?
Yeah, both of them had different Thunderbirds.
Right.
But they were in the center.
Right. Okay.
And then the 67, 68 taillights are virtually the same, a little bit different. But then the 69, they went into two separate pods like they were in 66.
Right. And would they have featured the sequential?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, the sequential lights were in the cars up until the end of 71.
Okay. Very good. And this would be the original color, this green?
So, it came Highland green.
Highland green.
Yeah, that would be the same as the Bullet.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Very good.
Yeah. So
because I own a green Mustang. I think it's called Forest Green Metallic.
Yeah.
It's a different shade.
Sure. So, I mean, if Frank were more of a higher-end detective, he probably wouldn't have had the GT.
Okay.
He probably would have had one of these.
Mr. Bullet, right?
Yeah.
Right.
There's no way he would have been able to outrun them in San Francisco.
Right.
Because it's just not that kind of suspension.
Yeah, right. Up and down in San Francisco. Now, this paint looks so good. Can't be the original paint, is it?
No, it was repainted back in 2007.
So, in your ownership?
Yeah.
What was the paint like when you bought it?
It wasn't that bad. I mean, but it was fading out and wearing. And so we took it right down to the metal. There's no rust on the car. And repainted it.
So that was more about quality of paint than it was about any body work.
Yeah, I mean the paint that had been on it at the time was probably about 15 to 20 anyways.
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
You know what? Might as well take her down and, you know.
But you found good metal underneath, good bones underneath.
Oh yeah,
good.
Yeah, I mean when we first got the car, the frame on it was actually rotten.
Oh really?
Yeah, I drove it from Mount.
Did you know that before you bought it?
No. But I drove it from Mount Bridges, which is just west of London.
Right, I know Mount Bridges.
With a perforated frame. So
and when did you find out about that?
When it was in Port Hope and up on the hoist.
Ignorance is bliss.
Yeah. Our mechanic, he just decided he was doing his inspection, would just tap it, and all of a sudden he hit a soft spot.
Yeah.
Which led to him going up and down the whole thing.
He probably wanted to bring it down off the hoist right away.
Well, we got some bad news, and the sad thing is that the guy who we bought it from, I mean, it's got to be in him, because I don't think he had, for the amount of time that he had it, there's no way he would have
driven it.
And they had wrapped a hot water tin around the frame and then undercoated the hell out of it.
So it was no secret.
Right. So
just a secret to the buyer.
Yeah. So needless to say, I mean, the body was great, the interior was great, the motor, I mean, everything else was great.
Yeah.
So for a drastically reduced price, we bought those parts. And then a new frame came from Colorado, and it was sandblasted and painted up.
Okay.
And went underneath it.
New to the car.
To the car.
Not brand new.
Original, yeah. No, it was original.
Sure.
Thunderbird frame.
Sure.
But it was, rust-free and in great shape.
Highland Green, yeah, it really does present well. So you said 07, so that's going on 17 years.
Yeah.
You've been careful with this car.
Yeah.
But you drive it.
Oh, yeah.
It's not a garage queen.
Oh, hell no.
Yeah.
No, I mean, this car, this year we didn't do it, but usually we take it on a week-long tour. It does about 1,000 miles.
I was going to say, in the previous episode, you told us about the AACA London to Brighton tour.
That is correct.
So you take this on that tour.
Yeah, and then, I'll take it up to the cottage for a weekend.
Sure.
Whenever it makes sense, why not?
Yeah.
I mean, if it's going to be 95 degrees for the next 3 days, it can stay in the garage. But, if it was like in 80, why not?
Yeah. So, in that 21 years, given that you do drive it, have you had any surprises in terms of maintenance and repairs? Oil, tires, presumably brakes need doing.
Never blown a tire. Have just general maintenance on the brakes.
Right.
Now, on one London to Brighton tour, we lost a starter, alternator, regulator, and the battery.
Oh, wow. Yeah. In the middle of the tour.
Yeah. Well,
that adds a little spice to it.
So it was just every day we were sort of replacing things.
Yeah.
And then at the end of it, we found out that we needed to get the heater core redone.
Right.
Not the heater, but the rad.
Rad, okay.
And I mean, at that point, we'd had the car for 15 years. So I mean, it's wear and tear. Right?
Sure.
No big deal.
Sure.
Inconvenience, but the funny thing is that it actually took 2 weeks for the radiator place to get the rad.
Oh.
Because it was done by Hamilton Rad in Peterborough.
Okay.
But UPS, in their wisdom, sent it to Hamilton, Ontario.
Right.
And so
Hamilton was probably someone's name in Peterborough.
Yeah. So I mean, they went down there, and it took a while to say, "Hey, where's this rad?" And and figure it out where it was. And then so after 2 weeks, it finally got to Hamilton Rad in Peterborough.
I'm thinking no rad means no driving.
That's right.
Okay. Now it's got a vinyl roof.
Yes.
Have a vinyl roof from the factory then?
Yeah. So this car originally did not. So you had your Landau and your hardtop.
Right.
And the only difference between the Landaus and the hardtops was the vinyl roof and the S-bars.
S-bar, yeah.
So this car out of the factory came out as a hardtop.
Okay.
And the previous owner, he wanted a Landau. God love you. So he sourced the right material and got the S-bars and replaced them. And Bob's your uncle, it's a Landau.
So that S-bar occupies well, I won't say occupies, but it makes for a big C-pillar to get that on there.
Yeah. Well,
so is that separate Landau compared to hardtop?
No, it's the exact same.
Is it?
And in fact, in 69, people will notice that this window isn't here.
Okay, so the rear side window.
The 69 Landaus.
Okay.
69 hardtops, this window is here.
In other words, it's a closed, even bigger C-pillar.
All they did was that they just welded in a piece.
Right.
And made it a bigger, I don't know, maybe for the drive-in or something.
Privacy for the occupants.
If you look at the back seat, it's a pretty nice place to sit.
Sure.
And they call it cove seating back there. It's interesting because for a throwaway car, I mean, that's basically what they were. A lot of cars were throwaway cars back then. And these are starting to show up in the movies.
Yeah.
Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Okay.
There is one there.
Uh-huh.
If you remember the movie Get Shorty.
Oh, yeah.
One of the opening scenes is where one of the floor doors goes flying by. They whip open the suicide doors and start firing at, not Sylvester Stallone. Yeah. No. Yeah, it was Sly Stallone, wasn't it? Oh, hell, I don't remember.
That movie's a while back.
Yeah, it is a while back, but still, I mean, you don't see that every day.
Yeah.
And actually, it wasn't Stallone, it was John Travolta. So
John Travolta, that sounds more familiar. I believe the guy who's not so tall, Danny DeVito, was in that movie.
Yeah.
He might have had the title role.
Yeah. Well,
getting back to the car,
yeah.
Siskel and Ebert, we ain't.
Mm-hmm, no.
I like the wheel covers and the white wall tires of this car. I think the wheel covers have a special name.
They are called styled steel wheel covers.
Styled steel wheel covers.
Yes. I mean, to me, there were like 3 different ones. There was this, there was more of a plain Jane one, and then there was one that had spinners.
Right.
But to me, these ones give the one a little bit of sport to it.
I agree. They really do suit the car. They wake up the appearance a bit. Yeah. Not that it's in slumber, but those basic ones, those plain Jane ones, they suit the car, but they don't pop quite the same way.
No. And I mean, with these cars, you got to have the white walls.
Yeah. Oh, I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. Yeah. And you showed us the sequential taillights. It's probably worth looking at that light bar again that goes the width of the car.
Yeah.
When I see it, I think of, I'll say, second generation modern Dodge Charger. They did something like that in the Charger that started in 11 or 12. Mm-hmm. Can you think of another period car that would have had the lens all the way across?
Well, ironically, back in 72, they still had them going right across.
On the T-Bird. Yeah.
But they took out the sequential feature because of the cost.
Right.
So, I mean, theoretically, and 72 right up until when they redesigned them for 77.
Sure.
I guess if you had an aftermarket sequencer, you could have probably rigged it up.
I can picture it, I can picture it, but no sequencing, I recall that.
No, most Fords typically just had, on either side.
Yeah. Now, how about on the inside? You mentioned the cove seating, but why don't we get a bit of a tour of the inside? One thing I've noticed today, Andrew, is where you put the ignition key.
Yeah, so at this point, they didn't have steering locks.
Okay.
So let anybody who steals my car, and that's how you found out. But the ignition was actually on the side. It's actually on the side of the console.
Right.
In the early 70s, that's when they went up onto the
steering column.
Yeah, on the steering column.
Yeah.
Yeah, really, like an underappreciated car for a long time.
You mentioned the cove seating. We should get a shot of that. Yeah. My generic term for it is wraparound. I'm glad to know it's called cove seating, but it looks sharp. It's probably really comfortable for those outer passengers. There are probably only 2 belts in the rear.
No, actually, there's 3.
Oh, there are 3. Okay,
there's 3. The third one's tucked in. But it's interesting because when the benches came out, it became a 3+2.
A 3+2.
Yeah, the 2 were in the back, and then they had the 3 up front.
That's fascinating. Yeah, you don't often hear 3+2.
And of course, Ford, they spelled 2-door Tudor, and then 4-door was FORDOR.
Right. Right. How about AC?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It runs AC.
You could have gotten basically everything that's in a car today. You could have gotten on this car.
Yeah.
Except for maybe a power memory seat. You couldn't get that. However, in '57, the Thunderbird was the first car to have a power memory seat. Then they disappeared for like another 30 years.
Ahead of its time, though, considering every luxury car has that today.
Oh yeah. There was even for a while they even had sort of like a in the later years they had like an early ABS system.
Like around what model year?
I think around 71, 72,
Really? Wow.
somewhere in there. Yeah.
That's pretty early for ABS. Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
it wasn't like your one today, but it was sort of a hybrid.
Sure. I see an antenna here.
Yep, power antenna.
And I look at the radio. It's looking pretty stock.
Yep.
Is that an AM radio?
It is a beautiful AM radio from
Philco.
Philco.
Yeah, Philco. With the headlight covers. Is that a vacuum system?
No, that would be... Actually, no, that is vacuum.
Vacuum
That is
system.
vacuum.
And does anyone switch to electric just to...
Some have.
For reliability's sake? Yeah. You're still running the vacuums, are you?
I am.
Yeah.
I am.
Good. All right. I feel like we've done a good job. I think we've done a nice job of addressing the things today, what you told us about in the dealership and about the car. So that's good. What are we missing, Andrew? Anything?
Well, let me take a look.
You know the car better than I. I noticed the venting behind the rear window.
So it's got flow-through venting. So basically, it would suck it in through here.
Right.
Come right through here.
Okay. Through the cabin of the car.
Right through the package tray. And then back out.
Okay. Very good.
Yeah. No, it's got really good ventilation. It's got foot vents as well. So it's nice if it's a warm day, you can have cool breeze on your Tootsies.
It's a warm day today. How was your drive over to meet us?
Oh, it was fine. It was the waiting around that killed me.
Yeah, killer. Very good. All right. Well, I think we've got what we wanted to do. So thank you for joining us again, Andrew. So thanks for watching, and thanks again to our friend Andrew Sommers. It was really good of you to come and meet us again.
Oh, my pleasure.